Welcome to Seesaw's 12 Days of Christmas.
Gifting you guests this holiday season.
On the 5th day of Christmas, Seesaw gave to me barrister and disability advocate Christina Warner.
Hello and welcome back everyone to the 12 Days of Seesaw Christmas, or whatever you're celebrating, of course. It's just the name we've gone with. I blame Cleves. So, of course, we have another one of our previously fantastic, well, still fantastic, but previous guest who is also fantastic. We have fantastic Christina Warner with us.
Hello, and Merry Christinamas, or any other festivity that you'd like to celebrate.
Mate, how have you been?
It's been a really interesting year. What's happened this year? So I think one of the highlights of my year so far is I went back to the International Criminal Court at The Hague to do a little bit of work over there. I used to work for the Office of the Prosecutor at the ICC, and I was back there in September, learning how getting case updates as to the matters that the ICC are looking at to deal with war crimes, genocide, crimes of aggression, all that kind of stuff. And I raised the need for disabled people and disabled victims of war crimes and genocide to really be considered much more broadly by the scope of the International Criminal Court. So that's been a highlight of my year, and that's an ongoing conversation that I'm trying to push for greater awareness, especially with what's happening in the world, how disabled people are affected by internal displacement, civil unrest, and war and conflict generally. So that's been a highlight of my year. Yeah, I've had, in regards to stuff that I've had published, I've had an article published about the Do Not Resuscitate orders, the inquiry that was undertaken last year, and it was published in June this year, 23. The DNR orders that were broad brush approach that was taken to applying them to disabled people generally during COVID. So that's something very close to my heart as well. And keep on going on about the Access to Work scheme and how it needs to be made a lot easier, preferably a lot more people with disabilities being on the end of assessments, and how unfairly we're treated. So I've been kind of going on about that and annoying people with that and refusing to be quiet. From a personal perspective, I got my cane this year. I decided to take the leap and accept that I needed a symbol cane, and I got one. Now, when I'm in places that I am not familiar with, or that are going to be particularly loud, or I'm not going to be able to gauge the size of the room or find the person I'm meant to be speaking to, I use my symbol cane. Took a lot of time for me to get there, but I accepted I needed it. And so that was kind of, from a personal standpoint, it was quite kind of cathartic for me.
And are you finding it helpful?
Yeah, I'm finding it helpful because I went through, as someone who was born with full sight and has a degenerative condition, what I found very difficult were even speaking the words. So now I say it with a lot of pride and I shout from the rooftop. So I am visually impaired. I am partially sighted. I have Stargardt's. But it took me a long time to get to a place where I was comfortable with that and not feel like I was summoning some demon by saying the words. And now having a symbol cane avoids that awkward conversation where it's like, yeah, actually, I can't see what you're pointing at, or I don't know what you're referring to because I'm visually impaired. I think it breaks down barriers, I think, which is always a great thing, and avoids awkward conversations when you're able-bodied, presenting and having non-visible disability. A symbol cane is genius, really.
And of course, as well as that, you're one of the Power 100 as well.
I am. I feel like I'm representing the VIP visually impaired crew, visually impaired peeps.
Yeah.
It was really lovely, actually. It's always lovely. Any event where disabled people are front and center, I always really, really enjoy. Just to share stories with other people and just to be silly. Do you know what I mean? Just to be silly and have like jokes with people about disability when the pressure's off. And, if you trip over something or if you spill something, I know with me, that's a real fear for me in kind of social settings when I'm with people I don't know. And to be at a disability event, it's like, oh, I've just spilt my glass, just spilt my water. It's not, it's like, oh, silly Billy, but it's not the biggest thing in the world. And yeah, so it was lovely. It was in North London. It was Wembley Way. God, I can't remember where the venue, but it was in Wembley this year. And yeah, it was really lovely.
So what are you doing over the Christmas period?
Over the festive season? Well, I am going to go to my brother and his wife's, and my wife, oh my goodness, she's already warned me, pajama pants all day, every day, because there's going to be a lot of food. And she's honestly like, I've even warned my brother, if for some reason they ever get divorced, we're keeping his wife. I've even said she's amazing. Agnieszka, her name is. And she does amazing food. So she's incredible. And the setup at my brother's is really lovely as well, because we can sit down and watch Christmas films, Scrooge with Bill Murray being my personal favorite, and Home Alone. So, and as my brother also has Stargarts, his setup at home is great for me as well. So we can have the huge TV screen. He's got it on an arm coming out the wall, so he can move it to what angle he needs, and we'll move all of his sofas and stuff like that. So it's really, the setup's great for us to be able to watch TV as a family, because I think that's quite important to have that sense of togetherness. Although me and my brother are a very limited sight, we still could sit with my dad and my partner and my brother's wife and just watch silly Christmas films. I just can't believe that we're staring 2024 in the face.
And what are your plans for 2024? What's going on in the world of law and the world of
Christina's law? Christina's law.
Oh, that'd be nice.
I'll be, how long? Oh, 11 years at the bar. 11 years. God, that sounds like a long time to wait for a drink, doesn't it? Hey, here all night. Yeah, would have been a barrister for 11 years, 11 years. But I was a solicitor beforehand, so it's been even longer than that. Yeah, I do have some plans coming up. I'm pushing for certain things to happen and raising awareness of certain things, especially with the state of the world as it stands. Everything that's in terms of climate change, in terms of conflict, war, like there's so much unrest. And I think the disabled people, we're always a footnote, aren't we? We are so at the bottom of the list of protected characteristics that I think that needs to change desperately. It's just not fair. And as well, the idea, even from a domestic standpoint, in terms of what we should be seeking by way of getting into employment and our rights, the concept of reasonable adjustments. What does that even mean? Why do they need to? Reasonable to who? I should be the one that's saying what I need. So it's things like this that the kind of the philosophy as well as the legal I'm working on at the moment, and I'm really hoping that it comes about to yes, I've been making some waves and annoying some people in the best way in the name of disability.
Perfect.
I'm trying to think. Reviewing the lighting situation in my flat to help me to navigate. I know it's a big deal. It's a big deal for me. And I'll tell you what else, which is really good. I got a fob for my front door. So I was having a bit of trouble putting the key in my front door. # visually impaired. And my partner fitted a keypad. Obviously, I can't see the keys to put the keypad in, but I now open my front door with a fob or a key card, which is really, really useful for me. So that has been just a little tip for anyone that's having trouble either using keys to be able to open their front door. It was a really great move. It's changed my life, as they say on all of the kind of soaps and gossip channels. It changed my life.
It's not going to be like one of those travel lodge keys, is it, where you put it by your phone for 10 minutes, then it wipes it and you have to go back.
Do you know
down
what?
to
It's kind of similar to that.
One.
It's kind of similar to that. So it's a digital, you see it sometimes on like Airbnb places. So it's like a digilock. Do you know what? I probably should have asked him exactly what the name was for one of these keys. The locks, otherwise, I can't remember what it's called. But it's basically, so when you look at it, it's got nothing on it. But then when you kind of activate it, numbers come up and you can punch numbers in, but like a code, but I can't see the numbers to be able to put the code in. So my partner got me a fob. So all I need to do is hold the fob up against the panel and it opens the door for me.
Ah,
yeah.
I like it.
So yeah, it was really, and that way as well, like if I have an emergency or something like that, my dad has got a fob. My brother and his wife have got a fob, and my partner's got a fob. So if anything happens in the flat where I need someone to give me a hand, or or I lose my fob, let's say, there are members of my family that have also got a fob to be able to get into the property as well, which is really useful. Just kind of that's made me feel a lot more secure that if I need help for some reason, they can get into the property without me having to open the door myself. Yeah, which I think it did used to worry me that I wouldn't be able to. It was getting so bad trying to put the key in the lock that I was having to basically put my fingers on the lock to locate where the key went in. So it was becoming quite problematic. And my partner was like, no, I'm going to change the lock and have this one. This one will be a lot easier for you. And he was right.
Incredible.
So,
Technology. I love it.
It's just little things, isn't it? I mean, I totally understand that it is quite expensive, but for me, it's made my life a lot easier to be able to just get into my property and not be so worried about, faffing about with the keys and trying to get the key into the lock and then the key into the other lock. And yeah, it was all becoming a bit of a hassle. So it was a great move for me.
It sounds like what you're saying is if you want to have easy access doors, all you got to do is become a lawyer, get a decent paying job, get a partner that knows how to fit said lock.
He is a locksmith, actually. Yeah, he's a locksmith. He's a locksmith. Yeah, but no, I entirely appreciate that they are expensive locks. I entirely appreciate that. Like, I'm not gonna devalue that by any stretch of the imagination. But I think if you are a disabled person, even if you have maybe mobility issues as well, it might be really good for you. Where if you're unable to, to be able to use a traditional lock because you've got limited mobility in your hands and you've got the funds to be able to do it, then I would definitely recommend. But I entirely appreciate that it's not within everyone's budget.
But it does sound good, and now all you need is something to make you, the cocktail starts to be made when you come in. It all links up, lights come on, blender starts going for.
That's what I need. I need you lot are going to be too young for this, but I need a whole Back to the Future setup.
Oh, I was going to say Wallace and Gromit. Okay,
Wallace and Gromit. Yeah. That's Wallace and Gromit. Good shout, definitely. Well, I was sent by my council, by my local authority, I was sent a sensor that tells me how full up a cup of tea is. Have you guys got
liquid level indicator?
Yes. Yeah. Yes. So I've got that, but I usually I try and have high contrast. So like if I'm having a cup of tea, I'll try and get a white mug so that the liquid is in high contrast to the cup. But I think my brother uses one and he finds it quite useful. So
I just stick my finger in.
Yeah, do you know what? It's just because otherwise, usually, it being high contrast at this stage works for me. But I'm, acutely aware that that's likely to change for me. But I think it's a good. I think they're relatively. I don't know. My local authority sent me mine, but I don't know if other people know that if they need it, they should be able to access it from their local authority as well, from their councils. They should be able to assist them.
Yeah, I think you can get them from the council. Well, it's been incredible to have you on, and we're going to get you back for. I mean, there's been so much you've mentioned what you've been working on, which we need to dive into more on. And as soon as you get the green light, we're going to go straight into that as well. Yeah, so we'll wish you a Merry Christmas, and then we'll have you in the new year,
everyone.
And a Feliz Navidad.
Feliz Navidad. That's exactly right. Yeah. I hope everyone has I think everyone needs a bit of a restful Christmas, don't they? A restful festive season.
Yeah.
Just a bit of peace and a bit of just a bit of compassion, I think, goes a long way this time of year. People really going through a rough time, and money is really tight. It's really rough out there, and I feel for people, and I really hope that everyone just gets some peace and we just have some compassion with each other. But thanks for coming to my TED Talk. Yes, guys. But I hope you all have Merry Christmas. Christina-mas.
Thank you for listening to Seesaw's 12 Days of Christmas.
We hope you've enjoyed catching up with our guests as much as we have, and we look forward to bringing you many more in 2024.
Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year from all of us at Seesaw.